could make money for years off of an affiliate because of something that you did for quote unquote for free, or maybe they just sent you something. I think the main thing here is 2 points is number one, make sure that the company that you're working with, it's an authentic relationship between the two. And the second thing is to make sure that you put as much as you can into that content. Like you have to go above and beyond. And the only way that you can do that is to really think about what would this person need to know about this topic.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag.
What's up? You are now listening to FY Fly the podcast, and I'm your host, Hassan Thomas, along with Remy, and we are here to share tools on how millennials can budget, save, invest, and understand student debt and credit to achieve financial freedom. If you're a high school student, college student, or someone who's interested in gaining more financial insight, this podcast is for you.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag.
What's up, my FY Fly folks out there? How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing all right. Welcome to the FY Fly podcast. My name is Hassan Thomas, aka the kid that did and the man that can, baby. And today, we're going to be chopping it with the podcast host of the show, Thrift, diving into what I didn't know, carpenter and do-it-yourself enthusiast, Miss Serena Appiah. How are you?
I am so good, Hassan. I am so happy to be on your podcast.
Happy to have you here because we met at FinCon, and how's everything been since then? You've been making some follow-ups, making some plays?
You know, I think when you come back from a conference, you are so motivated, you're so inspired, and it's easy for it to last for just a few days. And that's kind of what was happening with me. It's just been a few days, and then I started getting back into the hustle and bustle of like DIY life and projects and blog posts and YouTube videos. Yeah. But FinCon is a really great conference for anybody who has not gone. I highly recommend FinCon 2023 in New Orleans. And they're great because they actually put people together. So this isn't a group that we had all come together before FinCon or even at FinCon. It was actually kind of predetermined through them. You just say, here's what I'm trying to work on. For me, it's digital products. I'm trying to put a course together on teaching people how to use power tools and, DIY. And so because I'm interested in creating a course, they said, well, there's other people interested in courses too. So let's bring all those course-minded people together. So it was helpful for them to do it. But I think if you have to do this on your own, when you go to a conference or you're part of a Facebook group, you have to be vocal. You have to share. You can't go into these groups or into these conferences and just be by yourself, sitting very quietly, just waiting for a session to begin.
Because closed mouths don't get fed.
Exactly.
Most definitely. You have to learn how to speak. And, even when people are walking fast, you gotta
Okay, now you can't say that and not tell people.
So
That's
this is
pretty funny.
So this is a little insider between us. So I actually saw her walking with a full head of steam, and I was like, hey, I wanted it because I saw her originally in a podcast, I guess convention or whatever at FinCon, and we were going over people's podcasts and their YouTube channels, and hers was outstanding. Yours was outstanding. You got a standing ovation, clap from everybody. So I saw her and I was like, oh yeah, that's the woman who had that great podcast. I said, let me stop her. But like I said, she was moving. So she was moving. So
I was galloping at that point. I was galloping.
So I want to get your thoughts on kind of like the balance. So as you said, for people who have been in business, don't let those brands, dictate you and things of that nature. But what about for the people who are just starting off and they see that opportunity to get the money, but it may not be exactly aligned with what they're doing? If we're young and we're in a position where we, pretty much need that money, would you say, go ahead and get that bag and run it up? Or would you say, stay true to yourself, trust your passion? Because it's just such a hard, because sometimes your passion doesn't pay the bills.
Well, that's true. And I think that's why for my story, it was so important that I worked outside of the home for a number of years. I mean, that's what I did. I was a government contractor. I was a project manager, and it wasn't it wasn't making me happy. I had discovered I love doing projects. I love sharing what I do online. So when we moved to this house in 2010, I realized like we don't have enough money to do anything else other than pay the mortgage, right? That's a whole other topic, that money topic that we could talk about.
No, facts.
But I really literally forgot that we need to decorate the house. And so I had always loved thrift stores, and I started going to the thrift stores, finding old furniture. And my husband would be like, well, where are you going? You got to feed the baby. And I'd say, well, I'm going thrift diving. I'll be back. I'm going to go and look for a dresser or for this. And so, and I did that for 2 years. And so in 2012, I realized that people were making money at this. And I said, oh my gosh, like I'm going to learn how to make money at this. But I didn't envision it.
When you say making money at this, you mean content creating?
Ad revenue. Yes. Like ad revenue. At that time, it was more of like ad revenue, like putting ads on your blog. And I didn't know until there were some DIY bloggers who were talking about, they were doing like this, making money with your blog series. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm going to figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
And so it became a passion of mine to figure out how to make money at it. But at that time, I had my day job. I wasn't trying to like make this my full-time job at that time because I didn't even imagine that was even a possibility. Yeah. So my advice, I'll get back to my story in a moment, but my advice would be for people who are just starting out, you need to have some kind of money coming in. So I'm all for having a day job. And then this is what you do nights and weekends to build up your credibility. You build up your community so that when you're ready to make that jump into full-time, it's not as scary. Because if you're just starting out, like if you have nothing and you're just starting out and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to be good luck to you. It's not impossible, but it's scary. And if you're going to do that, make sure that you're living at home where you're not, having to wonder where your rent payment's going to come from. Like have something going on, some sort of, side hustle that you're doing to make money if you don't want a 9 to 5.
Because if you don't, you're going to be more adapt to doing things that you normally wouldn't do if you weren't as, needed, or if that money wasn't as needed. I just want to throw that in there.
You're going to sell your soul for every company that comes to you and says, hey, I've got this amount of money. Will you do? Well, yes, I'll do that. And if you're doing that, you're not building your community of people that love you for you, right? Now, this is a big thing in the DIY community, and maybe it is in the finance community. Should you work for free? That's the big question. Should you work for free? And there's some people that'll say, yeah, when you're starting out, maybe just to build that connection with a brand, just accept a free product, or maybe you get a free 12-month service to some app and you post. But I feel like more people now are like, no, you should never work for free. Know your worth. But this company, this furniture painting company, they sent two small containers of paint. Well, I painted this china cabinet that I got from the thrift store. And can you believe, like in the probably 6 years since I did this project, it's my number one of all time blog post that brings me tons of traffic. Wow. And it was free. It wasn't even a paid thing. But because it had done so well, I was able to develop a relationship with them later on. Like once they once they prove that, oh wow, there's people coming and they're going to our site and purchasing paint. I was able to go back to them and even sort of utilize that content and say, hey, why don't we do a promotion where, you will pay me and maybe 5 other bloggers to repost this on their social media. And here's our fee.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I got from that story was free or not, free or paid, multi-beneficial relationships.
Right.
If you're engaging in a multi-beneficial relationship with a brand, with a collaborator, with anyone, if both of y'all can rise and I like to say co-elevate together, then it's a win. Like I said, whether it's paid or free.
There's nothing free because you're still working for it. Okay. So it's not free, but they were able to set me up as an affiliate. And I think I had made like an additional $1,000 off of it because people were purchasing this. They liked the content that I put out. And the brand even came back to me later and wanted to work together again. They wanted to give me another free, it was like the upgraded version. But, but when people are starting out, maybe you don't get paid for the product, but maybe you can sign up as an affiliate And if it's a really good post or a video that you've done, really good content, you could make money for years off of an affiliate because of something that you did for quote unquote for free, or maybe they just sent you something, but you did a great job. And I mean, I think the main thing here is 2 points is number one, make sure that the company that you're working with, it's an authentic relationship between the two. And the second thing is to make sure that you put as much as you can into that content. Like you have to go above and beyond. And the only way that you can do that is to really think about what would this person need to know about this topic.
And I think that's where I want to go with this topic is, you know, the lifestyle branding, the lifestyle marketing that you've built just from being yourself. What are like some tips that you can give my audience listening to really like follow in your footsteps and start making money from lifestyle branding or just being themselves?
So I really do think it comes down to engagement. It comes down to engagement and
not follower count, more of engagement.
You know, follower count is important, but you know, let's say you have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but you're not getting very much engagement versus 5,000 and you're getting tons of engagement. A brand may be interested in that 5,000, you know, micro blogger or micro influencer because they're getting more organic engagement. Somebody was just telling me at FinCon, I think it was at FinCon, that there was someone who had like all these followers on Instagram, but they were hardly getting any likes because they bought that audience. So, you know, you don't want to have some like inflated numbers and it just doesn't mean anything. You want to have that engagement. And I will tell you, you know, in terms of like building that engagement, when I first started and I was still reading blogs, I don't really have time to read blogs now, but when I was just starting out and I was so interested in subscribing to different blogs, I would go and comment because I really enjoyed whatever it is that they were putting out. And I would comment sometimes with thoughtful things, comments, but I never heard anything back from people. I never got a reply. And that is the biggest way to get engagement is if you reply. You know, how many times is it like frustrating when you go to Instagram and you see somebody that you really like, whatever they posted, and they don't even respond? Now, yes, I understand they have big maybe they have big audiences and it's hard for them to keep up. They have a life. I get it. But you can't even just heart something or just say, oh my gosh, thank you, Serena. Thank you, Hassan.
For sure.
If you do that, that is going to be so important to me. So you want that communication. You want that engagement with your audience. And I know sometimes it can be, let's put it this way. When you're small, it's very easy to do that. So don't overlook it. Every comment that you get on your YouTube videos, any like or share that somebody shares of your content, thank them for it. You know,
facts, because they didn't have to do it.
They didn't have to. Go to if you see that they have a YouTube page and maybe you've got 1,000 subscribers and maybe they have 300, that means they're creating content, right? They're doing something, maybe not as routinely as you, but go there and comment on one of their videos. They will appreciate it. So as you do these things, you're building a community and brands will notice that, but your audience will love you. Your audience will love you and they'll be there to support you no matter what you're doing. You know, another thing that I think is important too, not just when you're starting out, but if you want to start it when you're just starting out is, you know, and you have a little tribe of people who are following you, do challenges with them. Do challenges.
Ooh,
you know, maybe it's a money challenge or like for me, and I want to say 2014. So I was still working outside of the home. I decided to do my first 30-day room makeover challenge. Okay. And I don't even know how many people signed up, but everybody was excited. So the idea was, hey, we're going to do this room makeover together. So every day from the 1st to the 30th, I'm going to show up and we're going to post about it. And we're going to, at that time, I don't know if we were doing a Facebook group or not, but it was, the idea is that we were going to do it together. And it wasn't just what I see a lot of times in the blogging space. And maybe you see it in the financial space where it's like 4 content creators that get together and do a challenge. No, it's not about you. It's about the audience. So you run your own challenge. Maybe you're teaming up with other people, but it's you and your audience. And so now you're one of them. So once you're one of them, guess what? They're going to want to tell their friends about you. Oh my gosh, this girl Serena, this guy Hassan, he's got this amazing group and we're doing this 30-day money challenge and investing. People love it. They love it. They feel like they know you. So if people know you, they're going to love you, they're going to follow you, and they're going to tell their friends and family about you. That's how you build your audience.
Kind of giving that real social proof. Okay, yes. I'm doing this and it's engaging and it's interactive. It's not just you constantly talking at them, but now you are getting them engaged into your content, into your message, and then y'all co-elevated together. Y'all doing it together. So I'm sure all of the people that joined your challenge had a major benefit from doing your challenge. They were able to make over, was it a room? Or
It was a room makeover.
Okay, so a room makeover. They were able to do that with you. I'm sure they were able, if they had any questions, were able to reach out to you and you were able to help them. So that even builds more trust from there. So that makes complete sense.
Now, the one thing that I feel that I could have done better is I didn't monetize it. And, this is the thing that I struggle with. I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I got it all figured out. The thing that I struggle with is because my monetization strategy has always, I don't even know if it was a strategy. I just kind of fell into it. Ad revenue. So on my YouTube channel, I make ad revenue. I make ad revenue on my blog. I work with brands. Those are the three main avenues. A little bit of affiliate income here and there, but compared to the other ones, it's not really that much.
Okay.
But there's a part of me that's afraid to sell. And I think that's why I haven't put my course together yet, is because, going from offering free to now I want you to pay me. It's almost like asking your friend to borrow money, because I have this community. I mean, just saying that right now, I don't think I've ever come to that realization, but I feel that there's money that I'm leaving on the table because I haven't put any of this into ebooks. Right? Like all of my projects I could be putting into guides, but I haven't done it because I'm just afraid that what if they're not going to? Now, there's really nothing that I lose except my ego. Because it's not like I don't have brand sponsorships and deals and ad revenue. So it's not like if I put it out there and they don't bite or buy, then I'm going to be at like a financial loss. So there's really nothing that I'm going to lose. Yeah. It's just I need to take that step. And I think for
kind of like a mental switch. It
is a mental switch. Yeah. And I think for anybody who's starting out, if you feel like you're somebody that you're going to be someone like me, you don't wait 10 years, wait till you build up that audience, but maybe kind of build it into your content automatically where you're offering affiliates. That's something that you can easily do. You can find these products and services that you really like. And even though you have let's say you have an email list of 100 people, well, maybe 5 of them buy into the affiliate thing that you really, really promote, that you put your heart and soul into because you're going to promote this. Get comfortable with selling, get comfortable with not feeling like you're a sellout, and that's how it feels to me because I've been so friendly with my audience for so long.
Yeah.
Asking them to give me money, I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask them for money.
So can I tell you something towards that thought of like, oh man, I don't want to, sell to my audience. I've been talking to them as friends, for so long. But I think with what you're about to package up into one resource, that's value that people should pay for.
Yes.
Instead of, when you were, hitting them, when they were asking you questions, that's one question that can be answered or one email that can be answered. But when you put all of your knowledge from your years of experience into one resource that they don't have to go to Google and then go to YouTube and then go over here and then try to put it together for themselves, by you doing that, that's a value to them that they should, that I'm sure if you add, if you gave them a choice to pay or there's a rapper, he lets people choose how much they pay to get into his concerts.
Really? Who is this?
His name is L.A. Russell or Lil Russell. So like L.A. and then Russell.
Yeah.
he does concerts out of his backyard. They're huge now. He's popping now.
Wow.
But he does concerts out of his backyard, and he lets people choose how much they're gonna pay to get their tickets. Some people pay nothing. Some people pay 20. Some, you know what I mean? So
That's awesome.
I think even for you, if you did that for your audience, I bet you they will be paying you some type of dollar.
Right.
I don't think they would do it for free, knowing because all of the free game and free value that you've always delivered.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think that's where, people, because I feel like a lot of people have that same thought of, oh, I don't want to start selling because I'm going to look like the sleazy saleswoman or sleazy salesman, but whenever you're creating something of that much value from that much experience, it's not sleazy. It's you got to pay for game. You got to pay for actionable game that will actually change your life. Yo, are you ready to hit your next level? Do you want to increase your drive, destiny, and dollars? Well, if so, check out my new book, From College to COVID, 24 Lessons Learned During the Lockdown, where I've compiled 5 of the biggest lessons I learned going from college to COVID to starting my financial literacy empire, FYFly, plus 19 lessons from your favorite entrepreneurs, entertainers, and athletes that have been featured on our show. There's literally something for everyone. So purchase your copy today at fyfly.com/from college to COVID. Let's go.
No, you're right. I definitely agree with you.
So I wanted to get like the initial, process of thrifting, like, and doing things of yourself. So like, in your opinion, is it a money saving thing? Is it personal achievement of doing it yourself? Or is it just great content for your YouTube and blog? Like, what's your thoughts?
So going back to my original story, I was always interested in thrifting, or thrift diving, as I like to call it. And I was always interested in it, but it really was born out of a necessity when we moved in and didn't have any furniture. Like, I mean, literally right now, I'll tell you, Hassan, 95% of my house is thrifted. Everything, like everything. Well, okay, except for that little beer cooler that I have in the back there, but that was something provided by a sponsor. I did not purchase that.
Okay.
But everything in my house has come from a thrift store, and so even though it was born out of a necessity, it really became just a hobby. It became a hobby, and then it became where it was too much of a hobby, and my garage started to just get just full. And
Okay.
I think that can happen when you start going to thrift stores and you find good stuff and and you have an eye for it. Man, that could really be beautiful. It's hard not to bring it home because you see the beauty in it. And why would somebody leave this here? And it's only what, $20? And so then it went from necessity to, I really enjoy this, to, wow, people are paying me, or, brands are paying me to do projects that I would do anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a combination. And also my audience loves anything thrift store related or thrift store makeovers. But over the years, now my house is filled. I don't really have any other space. I don't have any much need for furniture. So I don't do as many furniture makeovers. So whenever I have the opportunity to do it, I'm like, okay, good. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm working with this brand. They want to see a furniture makeover. Now I've got a reason that I've got to do it. So it's actually a combination of all of those.
I think that's the big, like, I love this and I can't wait to do it again.
Yes. And I can't wait to share this. I can't wait to other people get to see what I've done, because they're going to love it as much as I do. I know, like in my house, so I've got a husband and I've got 3 sons, 16, 12, and 10.
Okay.
Nobody in my house is as excited about what I do than the people like in my audience, because they're not excited. They're not. They don't really care. They're like, oh, okay, well that looks great. So what are we having for dinner?
Yeah, but what we having for dinner?
Right. Which is again why it's important to align yourself with your audience, because when you put something out, they're like-minded people. Oh my gosh, girl, this looks amazing. I can't believe you. And it's like a nice warm hug from your audience, right? It validates that what you did was great.
I love that. And you just spoke about, being a mother, and we've talked about you being a content creator. So throughout your journey, what would you say has been like the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Oh my gosh, that is a great question. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that you have to know that what you're putting out aligns with your life's purpose. And that's a big question because most people don't know what their life's purpose is, right?
Yeah.
But years ago, and I would say this is when I was still working outside of the home, and I was just so passionately like, oh my gosh, I want to do this full time. What's my life purpose? Like I was feeling so confused. Like, how am I going to make this my full-time job?
Yeah.
But I remember one day telling myself, okay, Serena, come up with 5 keywords that represent the purpose of your life. And I don't remember what 2 of them were, but 3 of them stuck: create, inspire, and teach. So because I was able to come up with those 3 words, I realized that everything that I do in thrift diving has to be related to those 3 things. So when you see my content on YouTube, even though I don't really consider myself to be like a professional where I know everything. No, I never present myself that way because I still make mistakes.
Yeah.
But there's something to be learned in the mistakes that I made. So when you do this project, you don't make the same mistakes. So
Facts.
create, inspire, and teach. So if I put something out, you're not going to see like a quick, now if it's TikTok, it's different, but on YouTube or my blog, you're not going to see like this quick, before and after, and look at what I did. Oh my God, I'm so amazing. Look how, no, there has to be some value in there. So I have to talk to you about what I did and what I learned. And oh my gosh, I can't believe I made this mistake. And I will keep the mistakes in there. Like I've made a lot of mistakes and I don't ever try to cover that up. And that's a piece of advice that I would tell people. If you make a mistake, own those mistakes. That makes you real. It makes you down to earth, authentic. People
Facts.
appreciate that because they're trying to get to where you are. Even if you still think you're a beginner, there's somebody in the world that's trying to get to where you are. So when they look at you and they're like, well, Hassan, I mean, he's got this podcast. Well, maybe you're sharing a mistake that you made when you got started in your podcast. Oh, well, he made that mistake. Well, I think I can do this too. So again, that's the inspiring. So that's why I keep my mistakes in there so that when you see it, you're inspired. Like, well, if Serena can mess up on this, I think I can tackle this too. And she told me if I run into this, watch out for this. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned through this entire journey, that everything that I put out has to have those 3 pillars: create, inspire, and teach. And I think that if I were to align myself with maybe some of these practices with like, the standard protocol of here's how you do a TikTok viral. I think if I were to do that, then I probably could go further. But I realized this weekend, not every mom and pop shop wants to be the next Home Depot, right? Like, is it okay to be that mom and pop shop? If you're okay financially and you feel good with what you're doing and maybe you have your nights and weekends, and it's okay to aspire to just be the mom and pop. So I feel like I'm just like the mom and pop of DIY.
And I saw a quote that was like, if you're happy with your business at 100,000 and then you mess around and get to 500,000 and you're not happy, then that jump wasn't worth it.
Right.
That jump from the mom and pop shop to Home Depot, like you said, it wasn't worth it if you're not happy anymore, especially for us, solo entrepreneurs or content creators. If you're good, you're rocking out on, Instagram, YouTube, and, those are really working for you, then keep on rocking.
Yeah.
You keep on rocking, if you can. And if you do have the capacity to add TikTok, because TikTok is where it's going to be for the next probably 8 years, 9 years. I will say that. I do believe that. But, if you don't have the capacity, if that won't make you happy, if that will be too much for you, and if you're already, now, if you ain't getting no traction on Instagram or YouTube, hey, you might need to try a little TikTok and try a little something different. But if you already get traction, then hey, you're good. And I wanted to give you my 3 purpose characteristics or character words. So mine are first is impact, income, and fun. That is what I want FY Fly to be consumed by, characterized by. And I actually came up with this at FinCon.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I was like, those are the 3 words that I really want. Impact. I want to make impact. I want to make income, and I want to have fun. Like, that's
so how did you come up with that? Like, were you in a session where they were like, hey, come up with your words? Or did it just, how did you get inspired by that? Because we're thinking the same thing.
For sure, for sure. So honestly, I was talking to someone, and I've kind of had that, that messaging in my head, but it really came out at FinCon, and I was just like, that's really all I care about personally, and then all I care about business wise is impact, income, and having a good time while we're doing it. Because if we're making this impact, even if the income isn't there, we still have impact. And I know I'm having a good time impacting people because I've been, I started working at 14. So I've always worked hands-on jobs and hands-on things, worked at HEB, Kroger, all those different, I worked at JCPenney. So I've always done something hands-on. But now being able to make an impact from behind the mic is crazy. I'm teaching a class tonight at 7, being able to make an impact on students in another school or another state. Well, I'm sitting here with this money behind me. That, you know what I mean? That's impactful. So impact, income, and fun is my three characteristics of where I want to go with my business.
I love that. Maybe people who are listening to this, maybe they should think of their 3 words and then maybe like tweet it out or however you connect with your audience. Maybe they need to say what their 3 words are. And maybe they don't know, but if they don't know, then that's their homework assignment.
We're going to make this an Instagram clip. Y'all going to see this on our Instagrams. We're going to need y'all to comment 3 things that really characterize your purpose. You don't need to figure out your entire life's purpose. Just 3 things right now that you feel really characterize, what you have going and where you plan on going. And then also something else that I wanted to touch on when you talked about, not being an expert, I want everybody to realize, like you said, you're an expert to someone, even if so for example, for a person who has a 700 credit score, the top credit score you can have is an 850. But if you have a 700 credit score, you can show and teach everyone who has below a 700 credit score how to get to where you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that even though you're not an expert, your information, your skill set, your knowledge that is still valuable to people that are a little less or a little below where you are in your life.
And that's where the teach comes in. That's where the teach comes in because, when I say I'm not an expert, you're right. I am an expert to someone. I've got more experience than someone who's never even painted a piece of furniture or who's never picked up a power tool.
Yeah.
But that's
you got more experience than me because I only know hammer and nail, baby.
Okay, well then you can be one of the testers of my power tools course when
Come
it comes
on now.
out. I will need some males in there to, give me the male perspective, since most of my audience will probably be female, but there'll be some men in there. But you're right. It's about teaching people what you know. And I think sometimes we think in our mind that we have to have like the degree behind us or, we've worked on Wall Street or like, I worked at HGTV. No, I don't consider myself a designer. I'm not a designer. I just know that I can look at something and say, it's ugly now, but I know that it can be improved. Or, how to use power tools so that you have a creative idea in your mind.
Yeah.
And you can make it happen.
So I do have one final question for you. I want to read you 2 quotes and I need you to tell me which one is more accurate in your opinion. Okay?
Okay.
All right, bet. So the first quote is more money, more problems like Biggie. And the second quote is money can't buy happiness. Which one is more accurate in your opinion?
I would definitely say money can't buy happiness.
Okay. Why is that?
I would say money can't buy happiness because you can have all the money in the world, but if mentally you're not right, where you've got emotional issues, you've got abuse, you've got just things that need to be dealt with. I don't think any amount of money is going to make you feel better about your life and about who you are.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So now I will say as a little caveat, okay, money can't buy happiness, but the lack of it sure can make you unhappy.
Facts. Big facts. Not having it is nowhere near happiness.
Right. But it's not going to buy you happiness. It's not going to solve all of your problems. It's not. You have to, it's sort of like building a house, right? Like if you don't have a good foundation, let me tell you, your health, and that includes your physical health and your mental health, that is your foundation. That is your foundation.
For sure.
If you don't have those things, I don't care what you build upon it, it's going to fall down. You could have the most beautiful mansion, but if you've got a crappy foundation, it's going to crumble. And especially with all of the, environmental things we have going on right now, it's not going to hold up. So yes, that's what I would say.
That's a great point to really leave them on, that foundation for your physical and your mental health. Doesn't matter if we're financially literate. Doesn't matter if we know how to fix everything that, could go broken in our house. If we're not complete, if we're not healed, physically and mentally, it really doesn't matter. So thank you so much for coming on the FY Fly podcast, Miss Serena. Let them know where to find you, and any final words, any final gems, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I would just say, if you're somebody who likes to decorate and improve your home, if you are somebody who wants to learn how to do these things and maybe save yourself some money, come over to thriftdiving.com. I'm there on my blog. I'm on my YouTube channel. I am on Instagram, even though I'm not as active as I should be, but I'm definitely on my YouTube channel. And, if anybody has any questions about, and I have a blog. I have a YouTube channel and a podcast, and it's just the Thrift Diving Podcast. So you can find me anywhere that podcasts are listened to. But, if you have any question about your house, if you want to learn how to use tools, or if you've got something in your house that it just looks ugly and you want to redo it, send me your questions. I always field questions from people that have questions about how to make their home look better.
I love it. Again, thank you so much. You dropped a lot of gems. We had a great conversation today.
Yes, we did. I think we fulfilled your final, you said income, impact, and fun. So I think we hit all of, at least two of those. Facts.
We hit all two, and then we talked about that income. So that's all three for me. So like I said, awesome. I really do appreciate you jumping on, and for my listeners tuning in with us, make sure that you take some of the gems, the little nuggets that she dropped today, and find those ones that you can apply to your life, because I promise you, once you implement those, your life will begin to change. So thank you again. I need all my listeners to stay safe, stay invested, and stay FY Fly. I'll see y'all next week.
Thank you all for listening to FY Fly, the podcast, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week for more financial literacy insights with our special guest. Please visit our website, social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at FYI Fly Podcast. That's FYI FLI Podcast. See y'all next week, and stay fly.